JB here, JB here. Hope everyone's doing outstanding. Let me just get this going. Hope everyone's doing outstanding. May 20th, 2024, 2:21 here on this outstanding afternoon. I'm gonna talk really quick about some of the names I'm in, and then I'm gonna do a rant. So I've said this last week. I'm trying not to talk too much about ENVX, but I think back to days gone by, right? So I think about some of the names that I've been skeptical of, and I got shaken out of it. So when Nikola, which was going from 30 to 70, I'm like, maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm not. And so not saying I got shaken out, but I lost a little bit of my conviction. And same with Longfin. So when you take a look with the Zidu coin, this guy comes on, the filings, you're like, wow, this is a legit company. Maybe I'm wrong, and I'm not, and I wasn't, and I'm not saying I'm going to go load the boat and bet on myself, but the more I look, I'm like, no, this ENVX it's like it's going to trade sub $2, and you know, it's going to take time. There's a lot of a lot of folks who have a lot of big money that are going to make sure that doesn't happen. But even if they can, it's gonna. But anyway, rants for later in about the next 5-10 minutes. Take a look at a SPY here. You take the chart. It's almost like a doji candle. Some chop here. 531.56 was the high. Down to lows at 2 o'clock under 529.50, and then we're kind of chopping around. Uh, Not saying it's as expected, but some chop, So we'll get some chop here next today, tomorrow. Get the Fed minutes on Wednesday, Nvidia earnings, and maybe get a little bit some buyers come back in. So nothing really crazy here. Take a look at Wix. Kicking myself. I was actually looking at the open. I put it on a watch list. Wix is one of my favorite stories from back in the day. It's a name people want to have a presence online. Brick and mortar, they've done a lot of great additions, whether it be payments, other platforms that they've, I wouldn't call it apps, but they've had additions to their platform, and then finally it's bearing fruit. And I think I mentioned on the rant this morning. I haven't looked at their exact fundamentals recently, but they used to be like a million folk cohort, meaning there was over a million folks that were freemium members that they would go and try and convert some of them to premium members, and all they had to do was convert like 5 or 7% of those to just hit their numbers. If they did more than that, they would beat and exceed, and the stock would go up, blah blah blah. So here it is, and I kind of took my eye off that one, but I'm not going to chase it here, 167 or so. Great story. Maybe, probably trades up to $200. Some of my favorite names, SodaStream was one of my favorite names back in the day, got acquired. Not saying Wix gets acquired, but definitely like that one. VKTX finally added some calls, but short dated strikes. I look at, it's up here at 67.30. The premiums are kind of expensive, even on a weekly basis. But I would not be surprised if they announce their MASH data before the end of this week. Even if they don't, I said it this morning. I'm surprised even with the Roche data. I think that's a net positive for VKTX. So still have the June strikes that I locked in for some nice profits. I'll hold those. Got the weeklies, and then maybe I'll look for some more strikes. But really like this one. Lower Bollinger Bands at 63 and change. I don't think it's going to get down there. Got what did it get down to 65 in the afternoon? Did it get 67.20? All right, well close. But I like that one for upside. That's why I got those calls. Adobe. So Adobe was gapping up this morning. I thought with Dell Technology, their conference in Vegas, you have that NVIDIA with the upgrades and all the things going on with the 3D space. I thought Adobe would go at least 490 and then into the 500s. It's killing premiums here. So I don't know if I'm going to trade it if it doesn't break over 500 by the end of the week. Uh, Still bullish the name. I think you take a look at its earnings. Under five, what was substantially. Let's see, where was it? $700. I think it was six and change, right? So 640 back in February. Then it sold off. Then it was 580 into earnings. and then all the way under 500 bucks. And then it's kind of been chopping around. It's a great story. It's not like Adobe's lost its way or it's lost its path. It's not going to, be one of those great stories. It's just, I think this is one of those quarters that it kind of, okay, here's a reset and, back to the upside. Unfortunately, it's not doing it when I have the calls. We'll see. We still have a couple days left, but really like Adobe, and that's it. So I'm gonna do my quick rant on enovix. I have my slides here. Let's see if I can post some of the stuff here. I probably can't, but I'll have it in the video slides if you look at the chat room. But so, I just said before, I lost my conviction. I wouldn't say lost my conviction, but when I was looking at Nikola, I wrote this whole due diligence piece and I posted on Reddit, and I didn't even post it in the OM community because I wasn't 100%. Sometimes uh, I don't want to post accusations or things that, just speculation. And similar ENVX. I'm not accusing anybody of fraud or wrongdoing. I have speculation that the company has overstated expectations to the point that they don't deserve a $1.7 billion valuation. I forget what Nikola's valuation was when I was doing the due diligence, but it was a similar story. I wasn't looking at, and Trevor Milton, he used to, before everything came to fruition, he would do these uh, rants with bears or whatever. He would go on Instagram and take questions and then refute bear questions, like the folks who were bears. He thought the bears were trashing him, rightfully so. Now you see he was hiding stuff, but uh, I look at ENVX, and the more I dig, the more I find little nuggets. So, I post on FinTwit this morning, and I think if you start looking at ENVX, the story, the founder of well, not the founder, but Cypress Semiconductor was TJ Rogers, right? So he founded it. That huge valuation. They talk about his stellar performance. He got NFAs. A dollar went up to a couple $100. So great stuff. But he got Cypress to do a stake in enovix, right? ENVX before the SPAC, right? So 2007 he had a holding, and then Cypress had like an $85 million. I don't know if it was an offering or stake or what have you, but pre all this stuff that went on, right? So then in 2017 they come out in a filing, and let's see if I have it up here. They pretty much they wrote it off as a zero, saying they take enovix and they say it's a zero, and then it's TJ Rogers holds a position in that. So that's a problem. But then you look at and one of the other executives now that's in enovix, his name is Greg Reichert, or I forget what his name is. All of a sudden, he has the same amount of shares that Cypress had. So it's almost like Cypress sold it off as a zero, handed it off to this guy, and then now this guy's he's part of the chair of enovix. But not here nor there. So if you're TJ Rogers, it's a zero, but then 4 years later, he creates a blank check company called Rogers Silicon Valley Acquisition Corporation, which I think their sole purpose was to find technology companies, whatever. So there's hundreds of thousands of these companies, or I would say hundreds, hundreds or thousands of these companies out there. And all of a sudden, he hit within less than a year, he picks enovix as his company. He wants to use his blank check to take public, and he has a $15 million stake. So based on all the math and what have you, his 15 million stake turned into $150 million. So if you go look at the filings and stuff, the SEC actually asked questions about him and that Reichert person about conflict of interest and how have to address it in the filings. And somehow that the lawyers come out, they craft stuff, so they were able to address it. But if you're a shareholder and there's two or three class action lawsuits again, just against the Rogers Silicon Valley Acquisition Corp, because they didn't think that blank check had the those folks, if you're an investor, they didn't have those investors, um, that they didn't have a vested interest, right? Their vested interest was enriching themselves. So if you're saying, oh wow, this TJ Rogers, he founded his Cypress Corp, he did NFAs, he's great. Let me invest in his blank check company. He's going to find something something that's really, the next 10 bagger. And then he goes and takes a holding he's had since 2007 and almost like rescues it, right? He takes it and says, uh, I'm gonna do all this stuff. And then his $15 million investment's $150 million. And he actually had to like recuse himself from some of the questioning. So anyway, crazy stuff. I don't want to get into all this stuff in regards to him, but I post on FinTwit. So some of that stuff. So when I use the an analogy between Nikola and uh, enovix, it's these SPACs had to, and I wouldn't say it's a roadshow, but when you're an IPO, you have to appeal to shareholders. You have to give them your presentations, your, you know, not that you're doing your PowerPoints, but you have to have, it has to be factual too. So when Nikola did all their stuff, you had Trevor Milton saying, "Oh, hydrogen battery, work in trucks. I have, our home facility has dispensed 200 whatever of hydrogen ready," and he lied, right? So, or he exaggerated to get folks to invest in him. So what's the difference here with ENVX? You have the TJ Rogers saying we have people paying us. It's not like saying they're going to give. He says we have given, customers have given us $30 million to get early access. So where's that $30 million, right? This is this is a company that's struggling. They did their recent offering was $17 million. They had to get a factory. Now their crazy factory in Malaysia. They only have 30 of the $100 million is from them, and they still had to get some kind of leverage from it. It's not like they went and gave $30 million to this YSB company in Malaysia. No, they had to, if you look at the following, it's like, oh, we still have to find assets to get this $30 million. So even this factory is $100 million, and there's only four zones, whatever they call it. So they don't even have that money. But back in 2021, when TJ Rogers is trying to get folks to invest in his message, whatever, he says customers have given $30 million to get early access. Like where's that $30 million? So not here nor there. I can go on rants for a while. I'm just trying to get my little a piece together, because in the next day or two I'll just get it all out. I'll get it out of my system. I won't talk about it too much anymore. But it just it sounds like a micro cap company, like a company that is just trying to inflate their stock, like that medtech press release back in the fall. Here's a medtech company, you don't even know it. They say in the headline, FDA approved medtech company. Okay, and then you email the company and they're like, oh, we can send pre-production units. Oh, is it going to be available in CVS and Walmart like it's press released? Oh, we don't know yet, but send us your information, and with your shipping courier, and we'll send you with a courier fee. Like, what kind of company is this? This does not sound like a company. It sounds like a company that's going to be on Amazon, which is fine, right? But then press release says Amazon. They're going to be on Amazon with at a certain price, and maybe they'll do lots of revenues, but don't tout your battery being in an FDA approved device and use that as kind of a way to keep your stock elevated. So anyway, I doing doing this a long time, and it's like when you start seeing some things, it's like maybe it's me, or maybe I'm right, and I'll give it a 75% chance that I'm right. That, and not saying ENVX is a fraud. I'm not going to throw out accusations, right? But I'll throw out things that maybe there's exaggerations, right? So I think there's some of that, which is fine, right? If you're a company, you want to set goals high, but at the same token, you don't want to throw out things that are not factual. So I think there's exaggerations, and I think you look at ENVX. I'm like, if you're a $1.7 billion battery company, supposedly back in 2020, your technology was 5 years ahead of the competition. Why would not then they're like, oh, we're going to do deals with three of these companies that have a $200 billion market cap. So it's like all these companies have to do is snap their fingers and acquire you, right? And a lot of it's debt, so it's not even like they have to acquire the entire thing for that amount of money, right? They can work some things out. If your battery tech is so breakthrough, why would someone not just acquire you, right? I at There's just so many things that I start looking at. I'm like, and the unfortunate thing is I could get puts or I can continue to add puts on ENVX, and this, they could issue another OEM or some other fluff press release, and the stock can go to 15, 20, 25. Um, but I think, I'll save this. I'll write, I've written notes already. I'm like, if it doesn't trade under $2 in the next 12 to 18 months, I probably shouldn't be doing this, right? That's how confident, or at least convicted I am in that. So we'll see what happens. That's that. Thanks for listening to my rant. I apologize if I talk too much about it. I've had some people on FinTwit say stop talking about it, but it's like I talk about it on FinTwit and I ask for facts, and all I get is insulted, and that's fine. You know, I get old after once you get older, I don't care about that stuff. You can insult me, uh, all that fun stuff. Call me names, call my horrible calls or whatever. That's fine. But to me, it's like if you didn't care so much, if you were so convicted, if I was bullish ENVX and I thought that all the information from the company, the CEO, and everything was true and factual was going to happen, I don't. Then why do I matter? I don't matter. Who cares if I poke into? The stock is already off from its high. It's trading. I mean, it's not. It's at $10 here, so it's not like the meat has kind of been taken off the bone already, right? It's not like it's a $40 stock and it's going to tumble. So why you worry about me? I'm not saying anything. You know, all I'm doing is raising concerns that someone who has a vested interest in the stock going higher should be aware of, right? So if those concerns don't worry you, that's fine. Then don't why why do you have to personally attack me like I'm a piece of garbage on FinTwit, right? Just address the concerns. Hey, where ask your chairman who took over the took over the company when things were going sour and ousted the three IBM founders a couple of years ago. Where's that $30 million he says in his roadshow to get his blank check company into to acquire ENVX? Where's that $30 million, right? Simple question. If you don't have that answer, ask your company, ask your patent portfolio person who does the uh, webinars, the road to scale, whatever they advertise on their site. Ask your patent attorney, why has the 3D proprietary 3D patented technology has been removed from all your filings from 2022 and beyond? Why is that? Right? Did a patent expire? If you go back in 2019, the chief marketing officer goes and does an interview, and he presents and he talks about the patented 3D architecture. It's not patented anymore. Go to their filings. Did they lose the patent? Like, I mean, and then people say it's a proprietary. They have all, like, to me, if you have a if you have something great, it's got to be patented, right? Whatever you want to call it. So if it's not patented anymore, so it wasn't that great. And then you look at their wording on their about us, and they used to call themselves the leading lithium ion manufacturer and producer. That's what they called themselves a couple of years ago, and now it's just I have to look at the wording, but it's not that. We're on a mission. That's what they call themselves, a mission to empower people, whatever it is, which is great, but then what happened 2 years ago? Also, you had the best thing since since sliced bread in batteries, and now you don't? Like, just clear that up. So we'll see what happens. And my last part of the bear case is like, even if all the bull case comes to fruition for this company, they ink all these OEMs, right? They not the Samsungs and Apples, but some of these other outliers in China. Great, what do they do? 15 million battery, 15 million phones, 20 million phones. So obviously, number one, you have to be able to produce those batteries, right? Number two, what's the cost? And I'm not going to sit here and blow smoke up Elon Musk's, but like he's pretty good with lithium. Lithium, he says, if someone wants to do something pretty well and probably doesn't have a family or things that sign them down, go find a mine and get lithium, because that's going to be a big thing in the coming years. So it's like, so where's how much is the cost of lithium? Your resources, all that fun stuff. What's the cost of your batteries? What are you going to sell them at? So that So you're looking at it's like people say, oh, maybe it's $10 that they're going to sell them for. The cost can be $8. So maybe they make you know 20% margin. That's great. So you start doing the math. So how many batteries you have to sell? So you know if you sell 100, you know, a million batteries at you know $2 margin, that's $200,000 in profit. And then you have to start doing the math. And even that, it's the taxes, and you know they have a tax thing. But it's funny. They again, you have you know TJ Rogers on his roadshow saying, "Oh, enovix is going to have a 40% margin." It's like, what planet do you live on? It's a very commoditized industry. So, and not only that, you have solid state on the horizon. Samsung has patents out, and you know, I probably, you know, I brought this up already, but if you go start looking at the patent portfolio for names like LG and Samsung, they have 60,000 patents just in lithium ion battery patents, right? So then you go look at, and there's Enovix, which is supposedly having breakthrough technology. They have 50 patents with like 39 pending just in the US. So you're saying 80 patents versus Samsung. So all of a sudden it's like, you know, who's hiding? Who has the breakthrough technology? Anyway, all right, probably wasted too much time. I'll definitely do some kind of rant on Enovix in the coming days. I apologize this weekend. Hopefully VKTX into the 70s and go from there. Rock and roll.